Hello, welcome back to the bet. I cannot believe it is the end of June practically. It's like, oh my gosh, this year is seriously flying. I really wish I could have recorded this earlier this morning when I just had this rush of energy to capture everything, but I had to be at the university really early today, like 7:30 in the morning, in order to do a lecture. And again, tomorrow morning as well. It's Monday. And I literally couldn't do it. And so I'm going to try to recapture how I felt this morning. But I remember just having this like physical rush of excitement for where I am right now. I know I've talked about this already, but I spent the last 30 days doing a little visibility experiment on Instagram, which is really crazy because until it was over, I don't know that I could have said that it made any difference. Like I was not picking up on any difference within myself during the 30 days that I was doing it. And then I realized that my actual life outside of Instagram had some really big shifts in it in June. And I was like, I think that is tied on a deeper level to doing these daily reels on Instagram. So I wanted to try to talk about that today and also highly recommend doing some kind of project like this if you want to unlock things in your own world. Because the actual weird part is, I think I lost, I don't know, probably 10 followers. If I look at my follower count, I don't know, at the end of the month, after tomorrow, I'll do a full breakdown of all the stats like I do every month here. And the other weird thing I noticed is that the chunk of people that did start following me were my grad students, which I thought was so strange. I'm like, how are they finding me now? It was both current students and students from last year, the class that just graduated here in May. And then some of my current students that I have right now, I'm like, how did they find me? This has never happened before. And why are there multiples of them? So it's not weird that they found me on Instagram. It was just kind of weird that they're seeing me in this totally different framework, like showing up in a very different way. So that was like, oh, is there a message here somehow that I need to kind of let my worlds blend together? And I really need to be more comfortable with showing up exactly as I am, whether I am at work or whether I'm on Instagram or whether I'm at home. I don't know, but I just thought that was an interesting little statistic. Another thing I noticed was at the beginning of my 30-day experiment, I purposely said I wasn't going to script anything or use any kind of AI. I was going to write all my captions myself, which I have kind of been doing a lot more now lately anyway. Just in general, I've seen a shift in my work habits away from using AI. I went through a period where I was a very, very early adopter of Claude. When Claude first came out and nobody knew what it was, I was using it. I found it superior to ChatGPT. And I did a lot of brainstorming with Claude and used it quite a bit in my business for helping me write sales pages on things or draft emails. And I would run everything through Claude and then I would work back and forth with it. And I still would do a significant amount of editing because I didn't like anything that and I still don't. I don't like anything that doesn't sound like I'm not saying it. So I was never really using AI to save time because I ended up putting in a lot more time actually trying to use AI. But I was trying to use AI in order to integrate the actual principles of sales and marketing. So I don't know how many courses I've bought on this, or coaches I've worked with on this, or programs that I've tried to incorporate into my business in terms of my messaging, like treating it as a skill where you have to look at what are the pillars of your business, what are the foundations that you want to communicate to people, how are you going to establish yourself as an authority, how do you demonstrate your expertise, how do you demonstrate social proof, right? That what you sell actually works. How do you not just provide messaging, but identify what people's exact problems that you're going to solve are and show them that they need the solution to the problem? How do you convert people? How do you use a good CTA or call to action at the end of your post? What kind of hooks are going to grab attention? All of that. I have spent, I would say, over the last 3 years, thousands of dollars learning and working on and refining, and way more time than I care to confess here. I haven't tracked it, but it's all come from a place of really wanting to understand that, and also thinking that I needed to understand that. And what I've noticed when I kind of snipped that cord of just saying, you know what, I'm not gonna try to apply all of those factors into my writing, because it just, no matter what I do, it feels like it is stifling me. Okay, so it feels like I'm engineering something. So it doesn't feel authentic. Even though I know, I'm not saying that those principles aren't proven and that they aren't effective and that they don't work. I am sure they do. And here's where the energetics piece of it comes in. I have never found it to really work for me. And I don't know if it's because I lose my confidence, like an interior piece of my confidence, when I know in my soul that a part of whatever I'm putting out was purposely structured in order to lead someone to believe something. Okay, I don't like that. And I can think of one coach I've had in my life right now specifically that's coming to mind that was like, you got to get over that. This is a business, and you got to detach your personal belief systems from the way you operate the business. Like, this is just plain and simple. It's a skill, and it's a skill that you have to build. So I have worked on building that skill. I have done challenges before. I want to say last October, November, when I was recording the bet back then, I was doing daily reels and trying to follow a lot of those principles using those hooks. And I did gain followers. So I will say it worked, but it didn't ever convert into customers, people who wanted to do coaching with me, or who subscribed to Memo, or who even people who went and joined Substack. I didn't see any of that happen. So I don't know if the energy behind it, which was my feeling of that something's always a little bit off. I just operate best when I know in my heart of hearts that what comes out of my mouth is from me. And when you speak that way, I guess this is just how I operate. I'm not saying other people have to be like this. But when you know that those words came from you, they represent who you are, then you just have this feeling of confidence that, okay, if people are working with me, if people are interacting with me, if people are hiring me, if people are engaging with me, if people are commenting and reading my things, it's because they see who I really am and they resonate with that. And I guess I just haven't been fully okay with thinking people are resonating with partial AI. I also think we don't know what the cost to maintain the resources to have access to AI is going to be in the future. This is something I think about too. I remember a time when our cloud storage was just given to us and we didn't have to pay for it. And now we have to pay every single month, and it turns into the subscription fee, right? Same thing with AI. If you want certain access, you pay a monthly subscription, and there's different tiers. It's like, what if the resources, I don't know all the details of this, but you hear things about water cooling and all of the natural resources that it takes to run these giant data centers. What if that cost continues to escalate and the price for AI becomes unsustainable for most people? What if the cost to maintain a subscription becomes unreasonable or untenable at some point? And I have put all this faith and dependency on using it. Then all of a sudden I'm screwed. Or what if regulations come down the pike in a year that significantly cut access? I don't know that any of that is going to happen, but I do know that if you picture something being taken away from your life and it puts you in a oh shit mode, like what would I do then? It's probably not a crutch that you want to have. So I love knowing that I can run my life without it. I have really upped my inner confidence by just leaning more into authentically saying whatever is in my heart. And if I follow my own personal human design, I have multiple gates that all focus around saying what is true in the moment. So planning something out or trying to script something out always feels a little bit fake to me, or disingenuous, or like I'm a newscaster. So that's one of the pivots I made with the Useful Thinking podcast this month, because I was showing up on Instagram just being so authentic. I'm like, you know what? I am not doing that in my podcast. I am censoring some of my language, and I'm really being overly careful about how I speak on that. So I made that pivot. And I also decided to introduce human design and start weaving in those concepts into the weekly episodes, because again, it felt disingenuous to hide that. I talked about this last week. Also, just as a PS, I think if I went back and listened to last week's episode, I would be like, Laura, you were making that way more emotional, way more dramatic than it needed to be. I'm so glad I slept on it, because when it came down to actually record that episode, it was really no big deal. It wasn't this monumental pivot that it was making it out to be. I mean, I was making this a major decision in my life. Like, can these two worlds exist in the same place? Can I talk about human design and also the brain? How is that going to work? Not even realizing that was my entire curriculum that I built. It's just funny. So funny. And it's why we don't make decisions from an emotional place. This week will be the first week that I have an episode coming out with human design in it. So looking forward to seeing what the feedback is there. The other thing I noticed is that besides like finding that natural shift in my podcast, is that my relationships deepened. I've never been kind of a surface person anyway, but I definitely have always leaned toward guarding myself, maybe not saying the things that need to be said sometimes. And I've just had the most delicious, wonderful, but still challenging conversations this month. There must have been something going on with making myself show up on Instagram every day and just push myself to do it and say whatever popped up. That unlocked all these other layers, because I am seeing just a freedom, a feeling of freedom that I haven't had in a little while. I remember having this feeling before, this lightness and feeling of freedom, but I didn't realize I had kind of lost touch with it. So I welcome it back in. I was feeling it hard this morning. Like, life is so good. The other thing I'm realizing is how little I care about trying to convince anybody of anything. And I never have really cared about that. And yet my business coaches have kind of told me, you have to take a position on things. It's like, you know what? I feel so detached from needing any specific outcome. That's what the freedom really represents. It's just a detachment from needing things to be any certain way, and leaning into this feeling of how authentic can I be? How real can I be with people? That will build your confidence like nothing else. It really, really, really will. What else did I want to say? Let me take a pause here and have a sip of water. I'm actually sitting in my car at the university trying to get this recorded in between sessions. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I didn't know this was going to happen, but on day 30 of my Instagram challenge, I realized, hey, you've done nothing like this on Substack. You've literally ignored Substack, other than showing up every damn week, consistently posting an article. Like, I have been rock solid with that. But I've done nothing to show people who are on Substack, like, who's the person behind the article? And so I thought, why don't I do a 30-day deal on Substack? Just kind of a totally different ecosystem. So that's what I started today. I did that. And it's crazy. I've already had, I don't know, 2 or 3 new followers just from that one little note post. And one lady wrote the most beautiful comment about how much she connected with things. So I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be a different experience than the Instagram situation was. Who knows? I am still figuring out Substack. It's weird though, because I feel like I know the people on Instagram. I've been on Instagram for years. And so I have built kind of relationships with the people that are on there regularly. I don't feel that way with Substack. So to me, this feels, even though I'm more comfortable writing in a Substack format, I feel a little bit like I'm putting myself on some kind of dating app where I'm just putting myself out there and I don't really know who's looking at my shit. That's interesting. I think it'll be really fun to do a compare contrast at the end of 30 days and see which one taught me what. So that's what I got going on. Other than that, I can't think of any updates from the week. Other than I'm really, 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 really glad that I did those 30 days of unscripted, just raw takes. I really, really am. And I wouldn't have said that until it was over. In fact, I think it was like day 28 or 29 where I was like, this is bullshit. I never should have done it. This has been a complete waste of my time. It's really interesting how things can shift when you're not expecting them to. And I guess the future will tell me if I'm making the right call with AI, if I get left behind. I'm still going to use it for things like coding my website, which I haven't updated in eons, but for doing those kinds of tasks. But I'm not going to use it for copywriting. I don't like how I feel when I use that. So I hope that that's not at my own short-sightedness, but it feels really authentic to say that now. I'm really becoming kind of allergic to AI copy. And it doesn't save me any time. It's actually quicker for me to just write my own shit right now than to go back and forth and have to rewrite things and tweak things. I guess time will tell if that was the right call. Okay, that's all I have for you. And next week I'll do a June wrap up. We'll see how things landed. I'm sending you all love. And as always, go bet on yourself.